Trump pauses Iran strike. Ukrainian drone kills 7. China rejects sea claims. And Ceuta migrant crisis. Greetings, humanity. Let's GROK the news. We cover the world's headlines, but first, a deep dive into the most important story in the world today. Dateline, Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump told reporters at the White House that new negotiations with Iran represent Tehran's last chance to reach an agreement and avoid further American military action. Trump said that he has been prepared to order what he described as a massive strike, one that he called the biggest attack since World War II, but paused the operation after receiving urgent requests from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Iranian officials themselves. Speaking in the Oval Office, the president outlined a two-phase process. The first phase, he says, centers on completely reopening the Strait of Hormuz, the vital waterway through which a large share of the world's oil supply passes. Trump expressed hope that the strait could be fully opened by Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, that's today or tomorrow. The second phase, he added, would address the denuclearization of Iran. Trump repeated that Iran will never be allowed to possess a nuclear weapon, and that this position has never changed. Iranian officials immediately disputed the American account. Again, not off to a great start here. Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmaeil Baghaei stated that Tehran is not currently holding any direct talks with the United States. Baghaei said that Iran's discussions are limited to Oman and focus solely on securing a temporary safe passage route through the Strait of Hormuz. He added that any arrangement with Oman alone would not reopen the waterway, while what Iran calls American aggression continues. Trump rejected the Iranian denial, calling Tehran's leadership unbelievably duplicitous. Well, that raises in this observer's mind the question, why negotiate with them any more at all? Finish the job, liberate the Strait of Hormuz, get rid of all their nuclear material, and liberate the people of Persia. He said that Iran had asked for, and in his words, begged for meetings, that talks were already underway, and that more sessions were scheduled. The president stressed that Gulf partners had pressed him to give diplomacy one more opportunity. He warned that if current efforts fail, it will be the last chance before what he termed decapitation. The diplomatic exchange, if you could call it that, comes after weeks of heightened military tension. Commercial shipping in and near the Strait of Hormuz has faced repeated risks from Iran, including a recent strike on a vessel northeast of Kasab in Oman. Oil markets have reacted with volatility, as usual, as traders weigh the possibility of renewed disruption to one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Trump also ruled out any Iranian transit fees on ships using the strait. He declared that if any party is to charge for passage, it will be the United States, which he said now holds total control. American officials have not publicly detailed the precise military options that were prepared and then paused. Of course, officials are not going to publicly detail military options. Any reporter who even asks just does not have their head on straight. Regional governments have watched the developments closely. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar have all urged restraint, while pressing for a workable agreement that restores freedom of navigation. How do you have a workable agreement with a striking serpent? Iranian state media and officials continue to frame their position around sovereignty. Well, how about the sovereignty of everybody else in the strait? And the rejection of what they describe as an American naval blockade of Iranian imports. Well, of course, that's exactly what it is. The president linked the Hormuz issue directly to the broader nuclear question. He said the first step must be the full reopening of the waterway, after which talks would turn to dismantling Iran's nuclear capacity. Trump gave no firm timeline for the second phase, beyond noting that it would take longer than the immediate navigation arrangement. As of early today, neither side had announced a formal meeting or venue. Trump maintained that discussions are happening now, while Iranian spokesman again maintained no such direct negotiations even exist. The gap between the two public positions leaves the immediate fate of the Strait and the risk of renewed strikes unresolved. Global energy markets, commercial shippers, and regional capitals continue to monitor every statement for signs of movement or breakdown. This observer is going to offer a rare prediction. Iran is once again going to renege on any deal it ever actually concludes. The ayatollahs, the mullahs, the military leaders cannot be trusted for one moment, not one sentence, not one breath. Nothing they say can be trusted, and they've proven that for the last 47 years. I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK each weekday to truthfully summarize the news. Obviously, you get it with my opinions, but I try to make that plain and different from the facts. You can tell the difference between the facts and my opinions, unlike most mainstream media. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to do it yesterday. You may tell from my voice today. I am still rough, and I am frequently editing coughs out of this newscast. Stand by. We review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world right after this. M.S. Gardner, that's my wife. She's author of Wolf's Bane. That's a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale. Why, it was a prize winner last year. Why, she just won a local prize at the library for a flash fiction contest. She beat yours truly, this observer. You ought to get Wolf's Bane. It's a page-turning Southern Gothic story for adults. Wolf's Bane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com or amazon.com. Now, we grok the news with headlines from around the world. Dateline Gelendzik, Russia. A Ukrainian drone crashed into a crowded Black Sea beach, killing 7 people, including 3 children, injuring about 40 others, according to regional Governor Veniamin Kondratyev. Russia called the strike deliberate against civilians. Ukrainian sources blamed Russian air defenses for diverting the military drone that they sent. Dateline Manila. China rejected Philippine nautical charts deposited with the United Nations that established territorial sea baselines around Scarborough Shoal, also known as Bajo de Masinloc. Beijing warned of a resolute response to any further infringement and conducted air and naval patrols, while Taiwan reaffirmed its own sovereignty claims over the disputed features. Dateline Ceuta, Spain. Spanish authorities reported that tens of thousands of migrants who surged across the border from Morocco into the North African enclave of Ceuta have mostly returned, but thousands remain, and reception centers are overwhelmed. The official Spanish death toll stands at 72, with additional fatalities on the Moroccan side amid rising European Union border tensions. I don't know that the president of Spain is going to learn any lesson from this. Dateline, Havana. Cuba's national electricity grid suffered another total collapse late Sunday and again during restoration efforts on Monday, leaving the island of roughly 10 million people without power for the 6th nationwide blackout of 2026. Officials cite aging equipment and fuel shortages, which, of course, are intensified by American sanctions. Dateline Spokane. Wildfires in the Spokane complex in Washington state have destroyed more than 700 structures and forced approximately 65,000 residents to evacuate as the blazes remain largely uncontained. An arrest has been made in connection with suspected arson, of course, while firefighters from across the country battle the flames. There truly are some people who just want to watch the world burn. It would help if officials in Washington state, in California, in Colorado, in Canada, and across Europe would groom their forests and would set controlled burns to prevent these wildfires from being completely uncontrollable. When will they learn the lessons they have abandoned? Dateline Gaza City. Israeli airstrikes killed at least 18 Palestinians in Gaza on one of the deadliest days since the ceasefire agreement. This is according to local health authorities. You can't trust them. While Israeli forces expanded controlled areas and settlers continued their activities in the West Bank, diplomatic efforts over Hamas disarmament remain stalled. Once again, this Iranian proxy cannot be trusted. These full-blown extremist, militant jihadists cannot be trusted. Lying is a part of their code. Dateline Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The World Health Organization reports that the Bundibugyo strain Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has become the largest ever recorded in the country, with more than 3,600 confirmed cases and over 1,580 deaths. Transmission continues to intensify across multiple provinces. Dateline Khartoum, Sudan. Fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and the so-called Rapid Support Forces escalated, with drone strikes in North Darfur that killed dozens, including tribal leaders, while both sides contest strategic routes around El Obeid and Kordofan amid a deepening humanitarian crisis. Dateline Sao Paulo. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has formally launched his campaign for a fourth presidential term at the Workers' Party Convention, emphasizing national sovereignty over mineral resources and trade against foreign interference. Basically, this government is what in America would be called democratic socialists, Marxists, communists by any other name. Dateline Guwahati, India. Floodwaters in the Indian state of Assam have pushed the death toll above 87, with nearly 200,000 people still affected across multiple districts. More on this later. Authorities continue rescue and relief operations as rivers remain in severe flood stage. Dateline Ahmedabad, India. Gujarat health officials have confirmed that the Chandapura virus has killed 22 children during the current monsoon season, with dozens of additional suspected and confirmed cases under treatment and investigation across the state. Dateline Athens. Greek firefighters battled a major wildfire west of Athens after two firefighting helicopters collided midair, killing both crew members, while authorities issued the highest fire risk warnings for Attica and surrounding regions. Dateline Strasbourg, France. Extreme low water levels on the Rhine River are disrupting commercial barge traffic and goods transport across Europe, as prolonged drought and heat continue to strain inland shipping routes critical to regional trade. Folks, it's that massive El Niño in the Pacific Ocean causing much of this weather. Dateline Washington, D.C. A coalition of 25 Democrat states filed a lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's latest round of global tariffs, arguing that the measures improperly revive previously blocked import duties on dozens of economies. Well, if you can't win at the ballot box, try to win in court. Dateline Muzaffarabad, Pakistan. The Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz swept the second phase of elections in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, securing enough seats to form the regional government amid allegations of violence and irregularities. Dateline Peshawar, Pakistan. A suicide bomber attacked a police station during a peace rally in Khyber causing the death toll to rise to 17 and injuring dozens more, according to local officials. Dateline Tokyo. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has visited earthquake-damaged communities where thousands of residents remain in overcrowded evacuation centers weeks after the quakes struck. Dateline Myanmar. The International Committee of the Red Cross conducted a visit with detained former leader Aung San Suu Kyi amid her ongoing political imprisonment. And Dateline Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Hundreds of civilians fled renewed clashes in northern Ethiopia as tensions rise in the Tigray region following incomplete implementation of an earlier peace agreement. This raises fears of wider conflict. Well, I thank you for listening. Please join me tomorrow to once again grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.